for the institution, where kind of arrangement and attention is given to the CPEC development, in particular under the current coronavirus challenges. Our discussion and our implementation of the social sector development under the CPEC, I think it is more significant. First of all, let me appreciate that all of your participation, and right now, I think the Pakistani government and also the Pakistani people are dealing with this challenge of coronavirus, and your government and also your people have exerted a great discipline and resilience that in dealing with this challenge. China was first hit by the coronavirus. So in fact, today I would like to invite your attention that the speech by the Chinese Prime Minister, because today is the inauguration day of our National People's Congress new session. In today's report by our Prime Minister, he basically is talking about social and economic development. After China has successfully overcome the challenge of this coronavirus. This year, 2020, is significant for China to come out of the poverty, because according to our plan, this year will be the last year for the Chinese government and the Chinese provinces to elevate all the people out of the poverty. And so far, although that China had this challenge of the coronavirus, but till this May, I think we have succeeded in elevation all the people, all the localities out of the poverty. This is a little, I think, difficult mission for the Chinese government, because for the first quarter of this year, that China's GDP had a minus, or that decreased, in fact, compared with the same period of last year. However, that this poverty elevation still occupies central position of our government policy. Right now, China is working hard to revive, reactivate the economic activities. In the meanwhile, China is extending all the possible international cooperation on the fight against coronavirus. If I can have a little reading about China's government report today, I think that our position is very clear, and I can see some indications or some of the policies which is also implemented by your government. For example, that we pay great attention to the SMEs, the small and medium-sized entrepreneurs, because they are the most suffered and they are the most affected by the current difficulties caused by the virus. Second, we are adopting all the measures through the financial instruments. We are trying to relieve their burdens on their banking or their financing difficulties. And thirdly, that we are working hard with the rural areas, the villages, or we call it the rural provinces. Right now, I think 95% of the counties in Pakistan, we call the districts, have been out of this poverty. We still have 5% or less than 5% of these counties still have some kind of poverty or poor conditions. But with the efforts of within the remaining months of this year, we are ready to lift them out of the poverty. Then come to Pakistan and CPEC. I think since 2018, when the new government led by the Honorable Prime Minister Imran Khan came to power, I think the government has a new vision and also has a new plan. They are more focused on the well-being of the people. They are more focused on the poverty alleviation. During each and every visit by Imran Khan to China, during his talks or discussions with our leadership, poverty alleviation always occupies a major part of the interactions. So under the guidance and the vision of the Pakistani government, that under the CPEC, we established a new joint working group. We call it Socioeconomic Development Group. The focus is to provide relief or provide some of the project directly related to the development and the well-being of the common people, of the localities, of the communities. We have identified, I think, 6 areas under this socio-economic development, including poverty alleviation. Of course, other sectors like health, like vocational training, like water management, and also there are some other areas. They are all related to the development of the rural areas, to the poverty alleviation of the poor. So in early 2019, that we had the first joint working group, and we have started some implementation. We call the fast track. Fast track project including 17 projects. And there are, I think, some of the participants may be aware that, for example, we are going to provide some kind of vocational training facilities for about 50 centers. We are going to provide for the rural areas about 10,000 is the lighting or the solar generators. We are going to provide, I think, some of the water projects for KP and Balochistan. We are also going to provide the equipment for 30 hospitals. And we are also going to build 100 smart classrooms for the universities. And these are some of the social sector's projects. But right now, because of this coronavirus, in fact, these days, we are very busy and to consult with your government to have the second batch of this poverty alleviation related projects. Because of the coronavirus, so we have identified 3 areas as the most urgent, or that's the most necessary at the current stage. The first sector is health. Because of this challenge of the COVID-19 hasn't been finished yet, and it might last for quite a long time. So the health cooperation, it is become more and more urgent and important. So right now, we are discussing with your Ministry of Health, your other institutions like NIH. They're trying to have some kind of fast track health, or that's the medical care project under the CPEC. Second is the agriculture, because agriculture is the basic of the economy. So especially that right now there are some urgent matters for us to deal with. For example, the locusts challenge in some of your provinces. For example, that for the crops of this year, which I think need more attention. the food security could be at risk when we are out of this coronavirus. So that agriculture is the second area for China and Pakistan to do more in this area. Thirdly is basically to guarantee or secure enough employment. That is a minimum of the economic activities should be maintained and also should be encouraged. So that since your government pays attention to the construction sector, so we are going to use some of the resources under the CPEC to join your affordable, or that's the affordable housing scheme or the low-cost housing scheme. Right now, we are discussing with your different government institutions, or trying to finalize some project that we will donate thousands of these affordable or low-cost houses or apartments to give some impetus to your economic activities. Of course, there are some others like education, like vocational training center, and also this. They will be implemented soon. But right now, because of this unprecedented or challenge caused by the coronavirus, so the CPEC is also adapted towards the current situation. And your government, on the one hand, they are dealing with this challenge with all the efforts. On the other hand, I think your government is also cooperating with the Chinese agencies and the institutions to make these projects in a much faster pace that to implement. For the CPEC, in fact, since just now the chairperson mentioned that yesterday we just celebrated the 69th anniversary of Sino-Pak relations. But CPEC is roughly or relatively a new phenomenon, a new platform, and a new project between China and Pakistan. We started CPEC in 2013, so only about 6 or 7 years. So that the CPEC itself is in the process of evolvement, of improvement. To some extent, maybe that in the beginning stage, we paid attention to the mega infrastructures. So right now that all these Gawada port, all these motorways, power plants, and other these infrastructure projects have been almost completed. For the next stage, for this, of course, the mega projects will be a part of the CPEC cooperation, like the mainline railway, or there are some other hydropower stations. But we will give more attention and resources to the social sector, to the in creation of employment. Because right now, since this coronavirus is spreading globally, and Pakistan, as well as other countries, needs that more economic activities to ensure this employment level and to give more jobs to the labor, to the workforces in Pakistan. So the CPEC could be a contributing element for the next stage of we call the post-coronavirus stage. The Chinese government has committed about $1 billion grant in these areas. And I know that a lot of participants, you are coming from the different areas, localities, and I know that this kind of project will be directly channeled to the life of the community, will be directly implemented with the cooperation with the local governments, with the local community. So sometimes that this channel, for me, I think is a little difficult because right now CPEC is more or less at the federal level. But when we are discussing or trying to implement, then we have to go to the local levels. And this is one of the reasons sometimes we move a little slowly. Why? Because this kind of coordination takes some time. Second, I think element is that because this is a grant-based project, so this like our own system and also your system, that this grant-based project with a lot of bureaucratic and procedural steps that you have to go through some kind of a lot of approvals. So this large amount of the procedures creates some kind of difficulties for us to implementation. Thirdly, is a little temporary problem. That is because of the coronavirus. A lot of lockdown measures have been implemented so that the logistical support, the supply of some of the materials, and also the channels for the passengers, for the people who are coming to Pakistan to implement this project. This kind of channels or this kind of communication is a little difficult. Right now, we don't have regular flights yet. So that is another reason for us that right now we could not make a full implementation of all these projects. But also, it is lucky because right now China is out of this coronavirus. So that the performance of the Chinese government is more or less becoming normal. So for these procedural and also for these bureaucratic issues could be dealt with in a much faster manner. So I'm expecting that when this coronavirus situation in Pakistan is a little improved, when that we do have this condition to implement this new stage of the CPEC, Socioeconomic Development, then we will be ready to deliver of all these projects. Some projects will be helpful that to deal with this coronavirus or immediately after this coronavirus. Some projects will be helpful for relatively long-term poverty alleviation practice in Pakistan. So today, let me just start this some kind of briefing about the socio-economic development project under the CPEC. But I want to reassure that although China was hit, our economy also was hit by the coronavirus. Although that the challenge of this virus in Pakistan is still daunting in air, but the Chinese government and the Pakistani government, our determination to carry forward the CPEC is has never been compromised. And our implementation of the CPEC project hasn't been hindered, I think, to a certain kind of degree of this kind of affection of the virus. So we have full confidence that when the situation allows, the CPEC will come to the full stretch, and this social and economic development project will occupy the bulk in the immediate future of our CPEC cooperation. And today I'm very happy that I would like to be together with so many dignitaries And also, I would like to listen to your advice and the guidance on how China and Pakistan to move more successfully forward with CPEC cooperation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Excellency. It was wonderful. I mean, this was amazing presentation. Of course, your insights are always valuable, and I hope that whosoever has joined us and who are watching us and are around the table from across the world, there are many people who have joined us from different parts of the world as well to listen to this, and they will be contributing as well. Thank you so much, Excellency, and of course, we are celebrating this our anniversary at a very important point where we need to build further about our socioeconomic development, learning from China. So without any further delay, I would like to request Dr. Nasir Khan, who is the Executive Director of the National Vocational and Technical Training Commission in Pakistan, to share about your institutional work, of course, and as Excellency has also shared that why not we share, and we are sitting down together, why not we share some more insights, of course, and then recommendations for the policymakers to build around, and how can we effectively do, and together we can build a more better Pakistan, of course, through and elevate ourselves from poverty. Dr. Nasir Khan Sahab, floor is all yours.
Your Excellency, Ambassador Yao Jin, and all the respectable participants, let me start by expressing my gratitude to the organizers of this webinar.
Dr. Sahab, just a bit, you need to move your camera a bit so that we can see your, like that. That's wonderful. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Is it okay now?
Yes, better. Yes.
Yes.
Thank
okay.
you.
Okay. So I express my gratitude to the organizers of this webinar, the Institute of Peace and Diplomatic Studies. Of course, I think there is no second opinion about it. It is the topic of a topic of extreme importance. I would directly come to the area which is related to my organization, National Vocational and Technical Training Commission. And I would start by a fact about which I think most of us are aware, but that will just set the tone. We are a country of 220 million people, or more than that, 65% of which is youth below the age of 35. So that places us very uniquely in the world demographically. And as Ambassador Yao has also pointed out, employment, skills, poverty, these are the kinds of subject which becomes very important to our nation. So the work which we believe our organization is doing, and particularly when seen in the context of projects like CPEC, CPEC is of immense importance to us because it brings us opportunities for employment generation, for reducing our poverty alleviation. And that was one of the reasons why when this collaboration under the CPEC framework started, NAVTEC entered into the negotiations from the very onset. Initially, we became part of the Industrial Cooperation Group, and we started from there, and that was the time when the Socioeconomic Development Working Group was not formed, as Ambassador Yao has also pointed out. To the Industrial Cooperation Group, we presented 3 proposals. We wanted to establish, it is still a proposal, we want to establish a center of excellence for CPEC at Islamabad, for which we have a building and land available. And we also wanted that if technical and vocational training institutes are established across the CPEC route, that will be really beneficial for generating the employment opportunity for the local communities. And thirdly, and perhaps most importantly, we put a proposal forward for establishing technical and vocational training centers in all the special economic zones. So these were our initial proposals which we presented. Then when this socio-economic development group was formed, we again became part of it. And we have been pursuing the goal of furthering technical and vocational training opportunities for Pakistani youth and to benefit from the opportunities opened up by the CPEC project. Here, when this COVID-19 had not struck us, before that, we were at a quite advanced stage of finalizing a proposal of establishing 50 smart classrooms across the country for distance learning. And I still hope, and I would rather request His Excellency Ambassador Yao if he could still pursue it, even despite the challenges put forward by this COVID-19 challenge. Those smart classrooms are extremely important for us because we are exploring and we have realized further the importance of distance learning after the advent of this COVID-19 phenomena. So we are very keenly looking forward for the finalization of that project, and that will enable our organization in the TVET sector in Pakistan to conduct online training and to cross the distance barrier. We are also mindful of the fact that once the special economic zones will be functional and projects will be operational in the special economic zones, there will be huge opportunities for Pakistani youth to gain employment, but they will have to prepare themselves in terms of the right kinds of skills which they will be needing to get gainful employment there. For that, NAVTEC has taken some concrete steps. In January this year, in fact, on 9th of January, the Honorable Prime Minister of Pakistan inaugurated the largest ever skill development initiative in the history of the country, which we call Hunarmand Pakistan under the Kamyab Jawan initiative of the government of Pakistan. And it has 14 different components, but specifically it is working on enhancing both the capacity and quality of technical and vocational education in Pakistan. In terms of capacity, we are mindful of the fact that at present the system is capable of producing some 400,000 skilled workers every year, which is not sufficient even for our domestic requirement. So we are trying to enhance the capacity of the system, but at the same time, we also are mindful of the fact that when sophisticated industry will be coming and established in the special economic zones, it will have its own workforce requirement for high-tech individuals. So one of the components which was launched once again for the first time in the history of the country was preparing high-tech youth for projects like a CPEC. And we introduced training in some of the trades which were until very recently considered not possible in Pakistan, like cloud computing, Internet of Things, mechatronics. These kinds of training actually got started with the fact from 17th of February, and some 38,000 youth got enrolled into those trainings. Unfortunately, we had to suspend the training. The status currently is suspended, but we are trying and exploring the ways and means how to restart them. So once this initiative takes place, we will actually be training 170,000 Pakistani youth in such kinds of training courses, and we are confident that once these kinds of initiatives are finalized, we will be having sufficient number of Pakistani youth who will have the right kind of skill set which they can offer to the CPEC project, from which not only the CPEC projects will be benefiting in terms of enhancing their productivity, but also the youth will, Pakistani youth will also be benefiting in getting employment opportunities and contributing to the poverty alleviation in the country. Apart from that, we at NAVTEC also has a job portal on which currently there are some 600,000 youths profile are available. So be that CPEC projects or even otherwise, we offer those skilled workforce to those industries, to those projects from which they can readily benefit. I will, in the end, try to conclude by to what the Honorable Ambassador Ayya pointed out. Obviously, the three sectors on which Pakistan and China are currently focusing, there cannot be a second opinion there that they are of immense importance: health, agriculture, for food security. For us, employment, I think, should also not be falling behind. And when we talk about employment, the question of technical and vocational training also gains immense importance. My request would be that in whatever collaboration that is taking place in the short run or in the long run, technical and vocational training is given the right kind of importance, so that we can train our youth to the level which are the requirement of the CPEC projects, and which can bring prosperity not only to the CPEC project but also to the Pakistani youth as well. So with that, I once again express my gratitude to the organizers of the conference, and I'm looking forward to listen to the other participants whom I am absolutely sure that they will also be having something very important to share with us. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Saab. This was not Dr. Nasir Khan Saab, who is the Executive Director of National Vocational and Technical Training Commission. Thank you so much for your valuable work at the National this Commission as well. And of course, you have very rightly said that youth is our future, and we should be investing there as well. And of course, engaging youth in your on your institute, your commission, and working for them is amazing. Thank you so much for your wonderful work. Let me give the floor next to Qazi Azmat Isa Saab, who is the CEO of the Pakistan Poverty Alleviation Fund and had an amazing and excellent career in the development sector. And while heading this fund, Qazi Saab has very right, contributed a lot. And let me share the screen with all the.
Hello, I've lost your voice.
You just lost my voice. Just wait for a moment. I will be sharing the screen so that you can do your presentation, sir. Can you see the screen, sir?
Yeah, I can see it. Can the others see it? Can you see it? I guess. Yeah.
Yes,
okay. So
that's what I'm asking. That if I can have one or two somebody who can say that they can see my screen.
Yeah, everybody can see your
Okay,
screen.
wonderful. So let me do the presentation, begin the presentation, and Qazi Saab, floor is all yours.
okay, thank you very much. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I am conscious of the fact that I have like 8 to 10 minutes, so I'm going to try and speed things along. First of all, Your Excellency, always a pleasure to see you and to hear you. It's always very inspiring. I'll revert to some of your comments that you've made in terms of my presentation. I'm also, distinguished speakers and all attending. Assalamu alaikum and a very good afternoon. And I am very thankful to the Institute of Peace and Diplomatic Studies for organizing these webinars and also inviting me as a speaker. Thank you very much. So moving on, I'm going to start by being a little provocative. Next slide, can you change the slide? So basically, Pakistan and this whole subcontinent has had many mega projects. So I want to pose a counterfactual. So when these mega trunk infrastructure, be it the irrigation system that the British put in, or be it the KKH, or now CPEC, or the Makran Coastal Highway. So and this is to tell you where it's done right, then everyone benefits. The people, and it's really reassuring to hear Your Excellency about the engaging with communities. If the local communities are involved, they see the benefits of the trunk infrastructure, then you have change. And this Karakoram Highway is a prime example where when the trunk infrastructure was built and when the local communities were connected through small infrastructure, farm to market roads, they could take their goods down to Karachi or to some of the other urban centers. Education systems improved, health systems improved, poverty was halved. So now this is really what we hope that CPEC can do. On the other hand, if you look at the counterfactual, is where this was just built, the infrastructure was just built without making this effort towards ensuring that local communities are also benefiting, then the benefits only accrue to very small minority. And then inequality, and with inequality comes frustration, anger, sense of deprivation. So next one, please. Next slide. Whoops. Hello?
I'm just trying to wait for a moment. Yes.
Lead the next one.
ODI slides, Asif? Yes. Game changer for quality. This was first one.
No, iske baad, the third slide. I'm sorry. Anyway, I will continue. I'm conscious of it.
Yeah.
So basically, what we've done, now here CPEC offers a unique opportunity, and I think it's important to realize that we should be very conscious of this unique opportunity. What we did was, a few years ago, PPF did a geography of poverty assessment, and we mapped the districts, and like it was mentioned, Pakistan has about 150 districts, and when we mapped the western alignment of CPEC along the entry point from China down to Gwadar, it passes through some of the worst districts in terms of poverty alleviation, in terms of human development, in terms of food insecurity, and 70% of that alignment is along Balochistan. And Balochistan, just to give you a few figures in terms of, it has the largest concentration of poor along the western alignment. 70%, yeah, there it is. So this was the map. The red are the most severely poor and high levels of food insecurity and low levels of human development. So if you see, the red are the most severe, then the orange, then the green, and then the blue are better off. Now, other than a few blues, this is, the whole alignment is passing through a very, very high poverty elevation areas. And other than Quetta, which is the only single blue spot in all of Balochistan, all the rest of the districts, could really benefit from CPEC. Now, just to give you one example, and this is really because this is the province I belong to, but just to give you one example that should really, shake everyone from their complacency, is that the maternal mortality rate in Pakistan, which is also very high, is 170 per 100,000 live births. For Balochistan, it is 6 times more. So 996 women die in childbirth. Anyway, moving on. So it is a great opportunity to this is the kind of thing, please move on. I've already spoken about this. So I just looked at what the CPEC vision is. Now, the CPEC vision is, like the ambassador articulated, to improve the lives of the people. And then comes the, building the economic corridor, construction, economic, trade, all of that. So this is the vision that CPEC has set itself out to be. Now, if we are going to be the game changer, or CPEC is going to be a game changer, which is going to bring in prosperity, reduce poverty, and ensure equitable development, we need that this vision is realized only through if we can actually engage the local community, so they see the benefit of this program as well. And what I'm going to do in the next few slides is actually there is a way of doing it. It's not okay, so let's it's all rhetoric. There is how to do it. What are the kind of things that need to be done, and you can have the sorry, next one, please. So I think these are the questions that I'm getting an echo, but anyway, I hope the others can hear me. These are the questions that the implementers or the policymakers or those who are putting money into this program should be able to, should be asking themselves. Is it engaging communities? Is it, engaging local academia, development practitioners, local government. I mean, this is a whole kind of, different way of looking at this. And also, is it developing local assets, resources? Otherwise, if it's not doing these things, then like I said, the counterfactual earlier is that it will only benefit a few people. The few big, Land Cruisers and the Pajeros will be running, and people will point to the fact that people from Karachi and Lahore and whatever else have benefited, and we have not. This has made no difference to our lives. Aage chalenge. Now, in terms of poverty, as you know, I don't want to labor this one, but poverty now is seen globally after the MDGs and the SDGs as far more multidimensional. It's not only about economic poverty. It's not only about, $1 or $2 a day. It's much more about access to health, education, better housing, water supply, quality of life, shelter. So this is multidimensional poverty. This is how the world is looking at it. SDGs, there are 17 SDGs, which all countries, including Pakistan, China, have signed up on, that we are going to deliver on these 17 SDGs, empowering women, empowering the marginalized, people with disabilities. So it has a very much a holistic view of addressing poverty. So moving on. Now, okay, so here is the kind of canvas in the sense that we have a great challenge. And now, how do we engage to make sure that we can address this challenge? And then again, taking the lessons from some of the good practices globally and also within Pakistan, like the one I pointed in the northern areas. The fundamental, I mean, all the other stuff I leave for because I saw the list of distinguished speakers. So I'm not going to talk about, in terms of government policy and all that. I'm going to, because this is also what the ambassador mentioned specifically about community engagement. Now, the only way you can engage with communities is through institutions, and the institution, and that is building. So that has so many positive, synergies and positive, you can leverage in so many ways. And those institutions you have to inculcate these values, like those values that are written on, to ensure inclusion. That, like for instance, I'm give you example of PPF, like if women are not part of this process, then we will not work with those communities. If participation is not happening, it's not only to get people around the table, it's, active participation, transparency, accountability. And now, stewardship has been a key value. And now when we look at what is happening to the world these days, this further emphasizes that we have a duty of care, not only to humans, but to the planet, to the earth, to birds and trees and everything, every living thing. And we believe that everything is animate, nothing is inanimate. Everything has the breath of the Almighty in it. So we are stewards of that, and we have to play our role. And if anything comes out of this COVID is to ensure that we actually look at this, our stewardship role as well. And it's very fundamental. And I think to all religions and all great cultures, be it the ones in China or our own Islamic culture, it is, God saying that you are the stewards, you have to take care of all living things. Now, when you create that platform in terms of moving on to the next levels of development, you create that institutional platform, which is the platform of the people, which includes women, the people with disabilities, the poorest of the poor. You have set mandates. There's a whole way of doing it. This is not like, okay, just form by the show of hands. It's a democratic process where people form an organization, elect their office bearers, and then they articulate their needs. What is their priority? Is it water? Is it employment? Is it, and then that is through a village development plan, then they articulate whatever it is, and then they're kind of like the slide shows, you have obviously some things that they can do themselves. Others, they would need to make sure that they can access government services, be it education or health, have school management committees that will ensure that the teacher shows up, and similarly for health. Sorry, this picture. Anyway, so then similarly, we break it down between physical, public goods, which is like the irrigation channels and the farm to market routes, towards livelihoods, which are like, individual, which are the poorest, to actually have a whole process where we do asset transfers, we have interest-free loans, and that's how we, mainstream the people into the markets. And the best way to mainstream it is to aggregate the voices, because an individual poor person has no leverage. When you have communities coming together, forming institutions, they have leverage. And then once you have established this kind of fundamental building block, which is the institution, and layering it with some of the basic needs, because these areas which where the CPEC is being built they need basic stuff: education, health, water, and then you can do more fancy things like create common interest groups, value chains, tech platforms. So sky is the limit, and Pakistan is a very heterogeneous country, so you have to be and development is, if anything, it's very, very contextual. So you want to make sure that all those contexts are kind of taken into whatever planning that you do. Ji, aage chale? I think we're nearly towards the end, yeah. So there is like I said, there's a game plan, and this game plan is actually, this has been evaluated by the best. It was evaluated by Esther Duflo and Abid Banerjee, who got the Nobel Prize for Economics last year. And they evaluated this program, what we call graduating households out of poverty. They evaluated our program over a period of 7 years. And through a very precise way of nurturing this process, right from people who are at the bottom of the table, who are getting stipends, who are getting the BISP stipend, to taking them through a nurturing, mentoring process where they are now into the mainstream, which is from micro enterprises to SMEs, and then they've joined the market. And that's how you also mainstream regions. So this is a true and tested program, which is being evaluated by the best. And my sort of last slide. Aage chale. So the other thing which His Excellency mentioned this, and I would really urge him and both governments, there is a palpable sense of urgency. 72 years this country, and you have places in Pakistan throughout, be it Thar, or be it Kharan, or be it Waziristan, where there has been absolutely no impact on their lives. So there is and this, if it is not addressed, it manifests itself in anger and people doing all kinds of things that alienation. So I would suggest that you mentioned there's a lot of maybe whatever red tape or things are moving slowly, but this needs to really move on, because the 1 billion, which is really fantastic news, and that's really we really appreciate that. But I think it needs to be expedited, because otherwise this thing will unravel and then it'll be too late in any case. And I think you've already mentioned 1 billion, so I was going to aage chale. So I was just going to suggest that at least even if we take 1 to 2% of the, sorry, can you go back? And what we called it was, sorry, just one back, I forgot. Yeah, so we've called it the Community Prosperity Engagement. No, the next one. I forgot to mention that. And so iske baad. Yeah, that's it. So it's called the Community Prosperity Engagement and Connectivity Fund, which also has the same acronym as CPEC. So that's kind of a nice little thing that if you want to create that fund that you've talked about, this could be one way of doing it. And like I said, there is a method, there is all of this happening on the ground. So all you can do is leverage the existing investments and then take them to the next level. And it's ready to be rolled out. So I wish you Godspeed in this, and anything in any humble way that we can contribute to this great effort of the two countries, it'll be a real privilege and an honor to be part of this process. So thank you everyone for listening to me. This is our Baloch. We do everything according to our strategies. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Qazi Saab. It was wonderful to hear from you, and of course your insights about poverty alleviation, and especially related to this project, and of course your own value addition that you had put over the years, not only to your own province, but of course across Pakistan. And I hope that Excellency might be taking the notes from all the panelists, and he will be putting up further on that as well. Thank you so much, Qazi Saab, for your kind input, and your presence is always valuable. Now I would like to request Dr. Zahid Anwar Saab, who has joined us from Peshawar, who is heading this China Study Center in the University of Peshawar, for his kind remarks. Dr. Zahid Anwar Saab, floor is all yours to share the view. Zahid Anwar Saab, can you hear me?
Yeah, thanks to the Center for Belt and Road Initiative in China Studies in Institute of Peace and Diplomatic Studies, particularly Ms. Farhat and Asif Noor Saab, I'm thankful to you for providing me the opportunity to share my views on this theme. His Excellency Yao Jing, the Ambassador of China, honorable speakers, respectable participants, good afternoon. Pakistan-China relations from Bandung Conference to CPEC strengthen and transform into iron brotherhood with passage of time. This close, friendly relationship is a robust source for regional peace and stability. Both countries supported each other on important global and regional issues. The bilateral relations are based on 5 principles of peaceful coexistence. Belt and Road Initiative is a Chinese vision for shared future of mankind. It is a vision of global and regional economic integration. CPEC is regional component of that global vision. Ladies and gentlemen, CPEC is one of the 6 economic corridors, a flagship project in a regional economic game changer. It is based on a concept that is positive, all-inclusive, and win-win for all. The early harvest projects of CPEC increased the confidence of people in Pakistan on CPEC. It gave hope to people in those dark days of bomb blasts, blood, tears, and funerals in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province. The early harvest projects helped to overcome the problem of load shedding, giving employment to more than 75,000 people in Pakistan. Ladies and gentlemen, people in KP consider CPEC projects as a ray of hope. The CPEC routes passing through KP are bringing development and economic activities in its wake. People in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa think that due to CPEC economic activities and Chinese investment will increase in Moman Marble City, Khatar, and Gadun Amazigh industrial areas. Ladies and gentlemen, due to CPEC, other countries are also taking interest in investment in Pakistan. CPEC Phase 2 will galvanize economic transformation in KP. Rashakai Special Economic Zone is a flagship project in this respect. The people of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa are looking to Rashakai Special Economic Zone with interest and hope. And in this connection, close collaboration between Chinese companies and Sarhad Board of Investment is going on. The expansion of Karakoram Highway to also help to increase trade and people-to-people contacts between China and Pakistan. Peshawar and Kabul motorway is another important development for Pakhtunkhwa because it will connect Afghanistan and Pakistan, and that motorway passes through Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, so it will enhance economic collaboration and economic activities. Under CPEC, collaboration between Chinese and Pakistani universities has increased. The CPEC consortium of universities is contributing a lot in this connection. Ladies and gentlemen, many joint research projects are underway and faculty and students exchanges are taking place. Agriculture research centers are establishing under CPEC. Many China study centers were opened in different parts of the country, especially in KP province. China Study Center in University of Peshawar was established with the support of China Embassy. Last year, China Embassy gave 2 million rupees to the deserving students of University of Peshawar, and His Excellency the Ambassador visited personally to distribute that amount. This year, the embassy is giving 100 scholarships to the deserving students of University of Peshawar, including the students of University of Peshawar from Afghanistan. Many universities in KP are approaching our center to establish Chinese study centers and enhance cooperation with China Study Center. The recent inclusion of $1 billion socio-economic component of CPEC has started to develop social and economic conditions of the people in KP. The propaganda failed to make CPEC controversial. Now people trust this project. Chinese investment under CPEC is profitable for Chinese investors and people of Pakistan. The threats to CPEC should not be ignored. Ladies and gentlemen, political instability, economic instability, corruption, COVID-19,
This was, I mean, it was an excellent presentation. Of course, you had overviewed and gave us a whole holistic picture of what is happening at the ground. Of course, at the KP level and your university level, the collaboration is growing and ongoing as well. Now I would like to request Dr. Samina Shabir Khan, who is heading this China-Pakistan Economic Corridor Center, University of Azad, Jammu and Kashmir. Dr. Samina, floor is all yours.
Assalamualaikum and good afternoon to all of you. Thank you. I must say thank you to the Institute of Peace and Diplomatic Studies for organizing this very insightful webinar. I will share my insights on the theme of webinar. First, I should express my feeling on the COVID-19 and the world, because the world is passing through health crisis from the last 3 months. Particularly Pakistan has badly struck by the coronavirus pandemic. Since the outbreak of COVID-19 in China, different people have different perspective regarding the future of China-Pakistan economy. These are regarding the public-private business partnerships. There is a need to train the manpower. And secondly, so far, as you know, that I belong to Azad Kashmir, and so far I know that none of the CPEC project has not been yet started in the territory of Azad Jammu and Kashmir. Though you know that two energy projects that you know that one is on one side, you know, the Carrot hydroelectric project that is actually in the custody of Punjab government. Not only the AJK government is getting the water charges, so you know that is also considered the hydropower project, and that is about to end. But the second project, that is the Kohala hydroelectric project, the land acquisition has done, but this project has not been yet started. Then expressway was planned for Azad Jammu and Kashmir that will connect Mansehra with Muzaffarabad and the rest of the districts of Azad Jammu and Kashmir. But this expressway is still on the pages and not yet it has been started. And third one was the special economic zone that was allocated to the, you know, that Mirpur, that is allocated for the Mirpur Azad Kashmir. And I think that still the land acquisition has not been done, and you know that to start the special economic zone, you know that you have to satisfy some prerequisite, and that prerequisite has not yet been satisfied, that yet not been met till today. So as here we are talking about special socioeconomic development and the poverty alleviation, but here regarding the Azad Kashmir, to enhance this socioeconomic development and to eradicate the poverty in the prospect of special China-Pakistan economic corridor, first there is a need to start the projects, then we can talk about the socioeconomic development of Azad Kashmir. So you know that if these projects are not started, then I'm sure that there will be some you know that Azad Kashmir will be ignored, and here the dream of socioeconomic development and the poverty alleviation will remain a dream, and we can't realize it, although some other project will be started. But if some projects are allocated for Azad Kashmir, then there is a need to start it. Here there is a manpower, here there are the natural resources, then the infrastructure is not so pathetic or not so poor, but there is still need to improve it. So in this, on this here, basically the ambassador, His Excellency Mr. Xiaojing is listening me, and so I request him please kindly to start the CPEC projects in Azad Kashmir. So later on we can discuss then the what are the socio-economic development, so what are the impacts of what are the impact of CPEC on socio-economic development of Azad Jammu and Kashmir and on the poverty. On the other side, I must request the ambassador to in order to get that in order to enhance the development of social sector, they must introduce some sort of that particular scholarship for the students of Azad Jammu and Kashmir, and the faculty development scholarship for the for the university based teachers to get train them to just let them know about how the China has developed over the last 4 decades. So there's a need basically. And third one is that without in CPEC, that during the pandemic we particularly observed that in the territory of Azad Jammu and Kashmir, the testing kits for the COVID-19 were not available, and so here basically there's a lack of health infrastructure in Azad Kashmir. There were not sufficient ventilators. There were not sufficient that the beds in the hospital. Here the population, total population of Azad Kashmir is about 4 million. That is not too much, but that for 4 million you need hospitals, you need good schools, you need roads, you need each and everything that the people who are living in the cities are demanding. Same, the people in the Azad Kashmir are demanding. They need all such type of facilities. So it would be a good if these projects are started in the territory of Azad Kashmir. Here the manpower is available, all other natural resources are there, and so that Azad Kashmir is already the integrated part of CPEC, and so if these projects will be executed in the right time, then it will be a blessing for Azad Jammu and Kashmir. Thank you very much.
To Samina for sharing your insights from Azad Jammu and Kashmir. Thank you so much. First of all, let me first take the opportunity to apologize. I mean, the people who might be there, but these kind of challenges do emerge, as Dr. Samina also sharing from her thoughts as well from the region, that these challenges anywhere, either from the region or you see the challenge that we just faced today, as in technology, these challenges are only meant for us to rise and rise and rise and rise and high above. Thank you so much, Dr. Samina, for your kind remarks. Dr. Rashid Aftab sir, if you can hear me, you can say the final words. We've been joined by Dr. Ren Kiao, research fellow from Suzhou University, China. But however, she's trying, but she cannot manage to enter into the room. It is amazing to hear her. We are trying to get her into the panel as well. The moment she will enter, we'll give the floor to her as well. So floor is all yours, Dr. Rashid Aftab sir. We're just trying to yes, Dr. Saab.
Thank you. Although I think we have just faced a very unusual situation with respect to our seminar, which has been hijacked by some of the intruder. But soon, thanks to Asif Saab and other colleagues who have excluded all those participants who have were able to enter into our systems. As far as today's session is concerned, I think it was more than an excellent session, which was attended by most of the relevant stakeholders and most of the relevant professions who are associated with the phase 2 of the CPEC projects. Ambassador Yao Jing exactly highlighted some of the very important aspects which were related with the challenges of the implementation of the projects. Pakistan, he also appreciated the Pakistan's participations, and he focused that even in China, the main focus was on the poverty eradication from the country, and China has successfully achieved that objective. Now China is looking for a bigger pictures, that the China is looking for the whoever the countries come in the BRI must be out of that poverty net. He also reflected that 6 sectors were identified under the phase 2, and which were related with the education, training, poverty alleviations, and these were very critical with respect to Pakistan. And in social sector, human capital related activities were very much focused, and China is pleased to offer more than $1 billion for the human capital related activities. And obviously when these human specific grant will be influxed in the human capacity building activities, it will definitely affect their skills and their knowledge, particularly with respect to their utilization in CPEC related projects. Dr. Nasser Khan has rightly indicated the role of the NAFTAC. And in this scenario, when there is a CPEC and the road is passing through the various districts, various tehsils, and what is needed, that that NAFTAC is looking forward for establishing the vocational and technical centers where the various economic zones exist. Another initiative undertaken by the NAFTAC, which is, I think, it's a landmark achievement of the NAFTAC, that the Hunarmand Pakistan or Jawan Pakistan under 14 components. And now what is looking forward by NAFTAC, and they have launched it, that to involve and to deliver the training in the high-tech disciplines like artificial intelligence, cloud computing, internet of doing things on the internet, data sciences, and these are very important with respect to the present and the future technological era. Qazi Asmat Isa Sahab, who is the Chief Executive Officer of Pakistan Poverty Alleviation Fund, gave an excellent presentation. And I think the most important thing which his organization has done, what they have done, they have correlated the most poverty-ridden districts with the CPEC, from where the CPEC infrastructure is passing through. And what his conclusion is this, that this CPEC project will create a very healthy impact on those districts which are compromised with respect to the Human Development Index, with respect to the poverty, and this poverty, which is a multi-dimensional poverty, will be improved by the execution, by the implementation of the CPEC projects, particularly the phase 2 related projects, which are more socioeconomic development. He also highlighted the community institutions, which is more related with the inclusion, participation, transparency, accountability, and stewardships, which is a more community-centric approach. Dr. Zahid Anwar Saab, who is the who is heading the China Center, Chinese Research Center, University of Peshawar, he gave an overview of the CPEC project and how that CPEC project is relevant with the KPK, and why the KPK is supporting that project, because the people consider that it will bring a tangible change in their livelihood. So it is not only a project or a Punjab project or some other project, it's a national project in which the beneficial are all the provinces. Shamir Sarullah Saab has taken a very interesting initiative since for the last, I think, 18 years, they are on that initiative in the multiple disciplines they are involved, whether that is related with the property business, tourism business, social activities, economic activities, welfare is related, launching a TV channel with China, and various cultural activities being undertaken by them, particularly at the Gawada. So because the Gawada is the flagship project of the CPEC, so that's what they are doing in the. Dr. Samina from Azad Jammu and Kashmir that we have to figure it out what type of social projects we are looking for Azad Jammu and Kashmir. Although the potential is there, all the capacity AJK do have in carrying out those socio-economic project under the CPEC. So that's all from I think the various diverse views we have achieved from all the stakeholders, and we look forward that this phase 2, which is primarily comprises of the six areas with 27 projects, more than $1 billion, which is in a grant in it. It is not a loan, so it is not a liability on the part of which is just most of the things, because what we see that particularly from the US, the CPEC project is being criticized recently. Their diplomatic and why Alice she criticized of the CPEC project that it's a debt trap for the countries who are carrying out joint venture project with China. But I think it is on the other side, and it is in the best interest of China or Pakistan, particularly for Pakistan, to pursue these projects and for the socio-economic development of the country. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Rashid Aftab Sahab. Thank you so much for your kind remarks, for your concluding remarks. On behalf of the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, China-Pakistan Center for BRI, and Institute of Peace and Diplomatic Studies, and Rifa Institute of Public Policy, I thank everyone. Especially my thank yous to His Excellency Yao Jing, Ambassador of China to Pakistan. Dr. Nasir Khan, thank you so much for joining us. Executive Director, National Vocational and Technical Training Commission. Qazi Azmat Isa Sahab, thank you so much for your presence and kind remarks. Pakistan Poverty Alleviation Fund, you're heading that important organization. Dr. Zaid Anwar Sahab, you have joined us from Peshawar, China Study Center, University of Peshawar. Dr. Rayan, research fellow who's a research fellow there in Shangyan University, China. Shamir Ahsanullah joined us from Gwadar, who is heading the Gwadar Chipkhana as well. Dr. Samina Sabir Khan, who is heading the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor Center there at University of Jammu and Kashmir. Thank you so much, everyone. And these challenges, as we have witnessed today in our seminar as well, and I have shared with all of you, that these challenges do come in our lives, and this will continue coming in our lives. And these statements, as Dr. Rashid Aftab Sahab has said also, that people like from the West, from the US, they will continue sharing their statements and their own concerns, whatever their world they are living. And of course, the hackers who had hacked us today, they could not continue and they could not stop us from sharing our insights and togetherness that we are standing here today. And thank you so much, everyone, for standing by us for whatever we have done, the hard work that we had created, in a sense, to share important steps that we as Pakistanis should be taking and moving forward in making Pakistan one of the leading economies, and sharing our steps and foots together with our brother from China as well. Ladies and gentlemen, also that we had just heard very sad news that has came over from Karachi, that a PIA plan that was going from Lahore to Karachi just crashed down, and a sad incident happened just at the end of this holy month. And we've been hearing that almost 100 people have passed away, and our thoughts and prayers are with them as well. I mean, this is sad incident. This is of course this is very something which is I mean, this is so heartening. Anyway, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today here, and we'll continue doing our wonderful work. Thank you, everyone.
Inshallah. Jazakallah. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. This is the end of the seminar now. Thank you, everyone.